Welcome, everyone. I'm so glad all of you were able to make it today for our first session here at our psychoeducation clinic. This is what I'd like to call the joining component of psychoeducational therapy. First off, I'd like to go around and have each of you introduce yourselves and tell me a little bit about the structure of the family, so I can just get to know each of you and the situation and how you perceive it. But first off, I'll introduce myself. My name is Delaney. I'm a licensed clinical social worker here at the clinic. I've been working with families using psychoeducational therapy for about 7 years now. So I'm very happy and excited to be here with all of you to help come up with some goals to be able to assist you in managing with this new situation. So let's start introducing ourselves. Can you please?
My name's Will. I'm the fiance of Catherine.
I'm Catherine, and fiance Will. Joshua's my brother, and father's here too, Mike.
I'm Esme. Reagan's my mom.
Okay.
I'm Joshua. I'm Esme's father. My sister is Catherine, and this is my wife Reagan, and that's my daddy Mike.
I'm Reagan. This is my daughter Esme, my husband.
My name is Mike. I'm Joshua and Catherine's father, and just recently reconnected with both of them.
Wonderful. Thank you all for introducing yourself. So I want to get to know everyone and how each of you see the situation in your family. To accomplish this, I want to talk to each of you, so get each person's individual input during this session. So Esme, would you mind starting us off?
Well, as you probably already know, I just got out of the hospital. Apparently, I had bipolar disorder. I made a complete fool out of myself at school. So now when I go back, I probably won't have any friends. So that's annoying. And my mom won't get off my back. She thinks I'm going to have a meltdown or I'm going to stop taking my medication like my Aunt Catherine. And it's so annoying. I just want her off my back. It's stressful.
Well, you hold it there, young lady. I'm on your back or whatever because I love you and I care about you.
Okay, well, Reagan, right now, I understand you're saying this from a caring place, but let's let Esme finish her side, okay?
Right.
Thank you very much. Is there anything else you wanted to say, Esme? Okay. So Joshua, how about you tell us what's going on?
Sure. Well, I'm mostly concerned with my daughter's well-being. I know firsthand how potentially dangerous bipolar disorder can be if it goes untreated or the patient doesn't comply with their medication. I just want to be here to support my daughter, and I'm also concerned that she, if she isn't able to handle her medication compliance, I don't know how I'll be able to deal with that. I've served as support for my sister Catherine with her own bipolar disorder for so long, and as she's battled with it, and it's really difficult. So I'm just looking for some support, and that's all I have to say.
Understandable. Thank you so much for sharing that. Reagan?
I mean, where do I even start? I mean, for years I've had to deal with Catherine running to my husband and using him for, support or whatever every time she reaches her breaking point.
Ugh, oh, please.
Let her finish, please. Thank you.
I just feel like Esme looks up to Catherine so much and always runs to her for advice instead of me, but I'm her mother, and I'm just nervous and worried that Catherine might influence her to stop taking her medication. But I just want what's best for my daughter, and I want to make sure to be there for her and that she's doing what it takes for her to get better. I mean, personally, I've never really understood this bipolar disorder, even with Catherine having it, but now I can't even escape from it. My own daughter has it. I could go on and on about this, but you know what? I'd rather just not.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for sharing what you could. Mike, can you please share with us your thoughts?
I'm just here for support for my two kids, Joshua and Catherine. Just recently reconnected with them. It's been a long time, and I've actually been building a relationship with Esme, trying to, and enjoy it a lot. My late wife, Karina, Esme's grandmother, passed away She suffered from bipolar disorder. It was really, really hard to live with every day, seeing what she went through. And I mean, after she took her life, took a huge toll on me,
I'm so
and
sorry.
everybody else too as well. Kids, I'm sure, always been concerned with Catherine's well-being, even as I spent years away from them. And now that I hear my granddaughter suffering, I just want to be here to kind of just lend my support.
I'm sure it's very appreciated. Thank you so much for sharing that.
You know, same goes for me. You know, just like Mike, I'm here for overall support. I mean, you know, over the years of being with Catherine, you know, I've built a relationship with this family, and you know, they've taken me in. But you know, it wasn't until recently that I found out that Catherine was diagnosed with bipolar disorder. And you know, we both have busy schedules. She is a neurologist. I'm a top chef in our state. You know, and so working those late nights, you know, it was hard to really see the signs and the symptoms. And I think she was able to hide her, what do you call it? It's like mania? Manic episodes. And, you know, even the time I found out later from Joshua that she was hospitalized. And, you know, we weren't on good terms at that time, so I didn't know. I didn't know anything about it. So, you know, I'm just here for support. You know, me and Esme have started to build a relationship, and she sees me as her uncle. So I think I could just benefit from being here and, you know, learning about the disorder. That way, you know, me and Catherine can get along better, and I can also lend my support to Esme.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for being here, and thank you for sharing. So, Catherine, thank you so much for your patience. I know you have a lot to share. So, how about you tell us about your thoughts?
Thank you. As we know by now, I have bipolar disorder. It's in fact true that I have a tendency to go off my medication, but usually it's only when I find myself stuck in office on a really complex neurological case. I don't want to condone or persuade Esme in any way, but personally I find myself being more creative and open-minded when I'm experiencing episodes of mania. But I don't want to make this all about me. I've kept my disorder kind of personal and a little distant from certain people because I don't want to feel stigmatized. I turn to support to Josh a lot because he's the only one who really understands. I feel like understands me, considering what we've experienced together with our mom. Now that Esme has bipolar, I really feel like I need to serve as a role model and be there to support her because out of this family right now, I feel like I'm the only one who really truly understands what she's going through. I'm really concerned that Reagan's going to push Josh away from me and push Esme over the edge with her micromanaging because that could have a really terrible effect on Esme. And I'm working through my own issues with my own therapist, but I'm just here because I know that we need to come together as a family to support Esme at this time.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing that, and thank all of you for sharing some, I know, very sensitive, difficult information, very private information, and I just appreciate all of you being willing to be here. So next, I think I'd like us to take some time to process what each of us shared today, so that during our next session, we can come together and create a contract with goals, realistic goals, achievable goals that you can use in your everyday life to help the situation and make it better for everybody. Does that sound okay?
Yeah, it's fine.
All right, wonderful. All right, so we'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Thank you all for coming again today. So first off, I wanted to give each of you a handout here. So this is a little bit of detailed information regarding bipolar disorder, the diagnosis itself, and some of the symptoms that are associated with it, the diagnostic criteria that I'm sure the doctors kind of sling around a lot. You know, they say a whole lot of these big words that don't have a whole lot of meaning. So part of what we're going to do today is just learn about what bipolar disorder is and talk about the symptoms that accompany the disorder. And I'll be happy to answer any questions that you have. Okay? So first off, since I know your family, based on what you talked about in your last session, has already had quite a bit of experience in living with the disorder with other family members. Do any of you have anything you'd like to share about your own knowledge of bipolar disorder?
Yeah,
Yes,
my
Mike.
late wife, she used to think she could do anything, and sometimes talking to her would be difficult. She'd just jump up all of a sudden and be a whole different person and just go off and just kind of act crazy. And I just never knew what to do. It was so stressful
Was she like that all the time?
a lot of the time, and I would just not know what to do for the longest time, and then by the time she would come back, she'd just be the complete opposite, kind of just stop, and it's like I couldn't even be her husband. I didn't know what to do.
Thank you for sharing that. Anyone else?
I mean, I can explain and share some of my experiences. I mean, some days I feel great. I go to work, I come back home, I socialize, hang out. And then some days I'll be at the office for 36 hours, doing research, working on clients. And then, you know, sometimes I feel like I'm like this close to curing Alzheimer's. So I'll really, put my all into my work. I have so much energy. I really have a lot high energy. And then I'll do those 36 hours, 40 hours sometimes at the office. Come back home, crash for like an hour or two, and then go back to it. Go back to the office and get back to work. So sometimes that'll go on for like a week. My family tries to reach out to me occasionally and try to convince me to go to the hospital. If that doesn't happen, if I don't end up going to the hospital, then sometimes it's high energy and just working all the time, and I get closer and closer to curing Alzheimer's, and sometimes it'll just last a couple weeks.
Wow. Okay. That sounds like the experience of a manic episode.
What is a manic episode? I mean, I kind of brought it up last time and a couple sessions ago, but I just don't really understand it.
Okay, so a manic episode is one of the symptoms of bipolar disorder. It's typically associated with, as Catherine had described, these feelings of energy and kind of euphoria. A lot of the time, it's a very good feeling. Like you have all the power in the world. A lot of folks describe a manic phase as being incredibly creative. They'll paint the walls red. They'll go and spend a bunch of money gambling or shopping, or feeling like I'm right on the edge of curing a disease and I'm going to do it, and I have the ability to do it. So it's a pretty amazing feeling. But they're also not sleeping. They oftentimes forget to eat. They're not really taking care of themselves, which can create some really difficult situations for the family, for their job, for their physical well-being. An interesting component of bipolar disorder to note, however, is that there's a opposite effect. This is a cyclical disorder, which means that there's different phases of it. So when a person is in a manic phase, they feel great, but it can drop down into what's called a depressive phase of the disorder, which is the complete opposite. They feel very depressed, sad, no motivation, can barely get out of the bed in the morning. And so a lot of folks, unfortunately, may attempt or feel like they want to commit suicide. They don't want to do anything that they usually like to do. That's a part of bipolar disorder. There's this parallel mirroring of that mood experience, feeling great and then dropping down and feeling horrible. However, with medication, with therapy, with the support of family and friends, it is possible for someone to live a very successful life, even dealing occasionally with these cycles. They do come back even with treatment, but at least with knowledge, you can deal with it better. You know to cope with it and be able to spot it a little bit easier and not let it get to a point where it's dangerous. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and I from what you're saying, it's starting to make sense now. I'm starting to play back all these kind of incidents that seemed out of whack before, and Catherine spends so much time at work. Even by the time we get together, she's so tired, and so I think that's how she was able to hide it so good, is because we weren't always together when she was having these manic episodes.
Okay, so another interesting aspect of bipolar disorder is that it is not a decision. Mental illness does not mean that someone just wakes up and goes, you know what, I'm just going to be manic or depressed today. This is a biological genetic disorder of the brain. And it is something that with the help of medication and therapy can be aided and someone can live with it. But it's important to note that it's something that exists within our own body. And it's actually noted to be passed along in families. It's a genetic disorder. Do any of you have some more questions or comments?
I do.
Okay.
You mentioned it's passed by in families. I don't get it. I mean, my mom doesn't have it. My dad doesn't have it. I know my grandma does or did, but why do I have it?
Well, I think we have something we have to tell you, honey. I think you gotta tell her.
Tell me what?
Now's the time.
We don't want you to freak out over this. We just want you to hear us out, okay? But we're not your real parents.
What? Who is my real parents?
Sweetheart.
Are you fucking kidding me?
It's okay.
Many months later.
Thank you all for coming to our final session today. It's been a long road. We've had some really wonderful talks. I think everybody's learned a lot about each other and about the illness itself, bipolar disorder, and how you can help one another through this. So before we terminate and have our final session, I'd like each of us to go around and we had talked about our strengths, some of the things that we're going to do to help ourselves, help each other, to help Esme. And tell me one thing you're going to do in the community when you're out there on your own to be supportive, to help yourself, and to help your family. Does that sound okay? All right. So how about we start with...
Well, after realizing the importance of family and having to be there no matter what, and that's what support really is, I realize I have to decompress and do something like playing golf and being completely away from everything.
Okay. So taking a break for yourself and processing what's happening by playing golf. Excellent. Okay.
I think what's important for me, something that's going to really help us get through all of this is for me to continue to really build on my relationship with my husband and my daughter, even though she might not be my blood daughter. I think it's really important for us to continue to work on our relationship together.
Wonderful. So being able to draw support from your family unit and support one another. That's great.
Well, I think that with all that we've learned, and we can keep learning, and that's what I plan on doing. Keep learning about the disorder and how I can help out with my family and my sister and Esme. And I also want to thank you. You did a great job. And we saw an MFT therapist before, and as a social worker, it's really a world of difference. So thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing this new passion for learning that you have and sharing what you learned with your family. I'm sure that's going to be really helpful. So Esme, what are some of the things that you're going to use?
Well, first of all, I mean, it was really difficult to find out who my real parents were, but I think with that, it's helping me understand why I have bipolar disorder.
Right.
So I found that to be very helpful. And also with everything we've learned, I know that staying on my medication is really important for me to do well. So I'll definitely do that.
Excellent. I'm glad to hear that that's been helpful for you. It sounds like you've created some very good goals, very mature goals. For a girl your age to have to go through this so early, you're handling it well. You have a wonderful family here to support you.
Well, I have a new role with Esme. I'm supporting her as her mother. And so since we both experienced the same disorder, we've been able to bond closer throughout the last couple weeks and really strengthen our relationship.
Wonderful. I'm so glad that you have that. The mother-daughter relationship as people, but also you can be partners in working towards staying healthy. That's great.
And for me, I'm the cook of this family, so I kind of just use that as a strength to bring everybody together. We feast as a family, And then, me and Catherine have been working on our stuff, and, I've been able to kind of motivate her to stay on her medication. She's been able to open up to me about her struggle with bipolar disorder and, what medication she uses. And so I'm there as a support to, just make sure that she's using them. And, I'm more aware of the signs and the symptoms now that, if she is starting to slip, that I can give her the help she needs. And, also be here to help out Josh, because Josh has been, kind of a rock through this whole time. And so now it's time for me to step up and be there for her, let him decompress, and,
Wonderful. I'm really proud of all of you for coming together. All of you are doing a great job, and I think that you're going to do a great job out there together. And we're always here at the clinic if you need more help. So thank you so much, and good luck to all of you.
thank you.
Thank you.